Alrighty, good morning. Today we're starting our very first adventure. We're leaving the town of Smithville, Missouri, putting it in our rear view. We're traveling 400 miles through the states of Missouri and Iowa. We're going to stop at the National Motorcycle Museum just outside of Cedar Rapids. I think the town is called Anamosa. Look at that beautiful old home down here in the south. Lots of beautiful houses like that. And up here on the left side is actually the winery for Smithville. It's a quaint little winery. It's kind of nice. We'll cross over the dam here pretty shortly. And then we'll hit the highway. We'll try to put some miles behind us. This is my very first motovlog. Last time I got some really great footage of Kansas City, but the audio was totally trashed. I think what happened is my Bluetooth headset that I was planning to record on ended up connecting to the bike and not the phone, so the phone just got a bunch of wind noise. So, my apologies for that. I'll definitely be redoing that route because there are some really good skyline views of Kansas City that we can have a great conversation while having a pretty beautiful background. I think probably the thing that I want to talk about today, and the reason that I'm super pumped this morning, probably the main reason why I bought a motorcycle. I've been riding bikes for like 6 years now. And I think at the time that I got into motorcycles, I was probably in like the worst daily grind rut of my life. Like all my responsibilities always the same. You know, taking care of kids, taking care of the family, getting bills paid. You know what I'm talking about. You guys do that exact same thing too. But I think what ended up wearing me down and turning me into kind of a less great person than I knew I could be was my own attitude. You know, you just get into that responsibility, go, and no one else out there is going to take care of your health, right? Everybody else out there is going to ask you to just do this one more thing for them. So maybe I was being a little selfish, but I needed something that was for me. And for anybody else out there that feels like they're in that sort of situation, where it's like they do everything for everybody else, they need something that they can call their own. I highly recommend motorcycling. There are tons and tons of bikes out there that are at screaming deals, and you can have an absolute blast without spending a whole lot of money. So if you're one of those people that are like, well, you know, I'd like to get a motorcycle, I just don't know that I would spend that kind of money, that's not a very good reason. Go out to Craigslist, go out to Cycle Trader. Look at what's out there, man. There are some bikes. My first bike was a Honda NC700X. It's not very fast. It can still hit triple digits. And it can do a 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. Still pretty fast, actually. You know, but definitely not a made-for-speed kind of bike. It was a utilitarian tool, probably best for commuting, you know, light adventuring, that sort of thing. Great bike. Actually, I kind of wish I still had it. It would be a perfect complement to this bike here. This is a Triumph Tiger 900GTpro. Just bought this bike 1 month ago, and it's sitting on just over 1,000 miles. So fully broke in and ready to rock. So I love this bike. This bike I bought because I thought it was time for me to go down to a bike that could do everything. I had a cruiser, and I had, at various times, different bikes. Actually, I'll go through my history. After I bought that NC700X, I was craving something that was a little more in with the Harley crowd. So I bought a 2001 Harley Dyno Lowrider. Beautiful bike. real vintage look. I'll definitely throw some pictures up on the channel so you guys can see it, because it was a beaut. And I just sold her last week, so it's like losing one of your kids, man. Still feeling the loss, but she's going to a new rider that's an older gentleman that's going to be, you know, he wanted something to learn on and something to get into the Harley crowd with, so it'll be a perfect bike for him. And I'm really happy that he got it. Had 21,500 miles. Actually, I think it was over 22 by the time I sold it. After I picked up that Harley, I ended up selling the Dyna that coming fall. I ended up selling the Honda NC700X that fall to a guy that was looking to commute on it. He used to get 70 miles per gallon, so he was pretty stoked about getting that bike. And then when I was down here in Kansas, I was traveling down here 25% of the time for work. I was bored, man. I was sitting in a hotel room all the time, nothing to do. I had, for the first time in my life, tons and tons of free time because I was traveling and I didn't have the family obligations while I was doing that. So I bought a Ducati Divel. I guess it's the X Divel, actually. It's 163 horsepower rocket with two wheels, really. I think it weighs like 520 pounds, so the power to weight ratio is up there with like a Ferrari. It is an insane bike, and it was a really good time. So for 2 years, I rode all around Missouri on that thing. I rode it all the way back to Michigan. I rode around Michigan a ton on it. Eventually, I just got to the point where it's like, this bike, you know, it has 1200 cc engine, big L-twin, as the Ducati like to call it, and it sounded mean and loud, and if you twisted the throttle even just a little bit, you were going 80 miles an hour. So it was just way too overpowered for the street, really. Loads of fun, and I enjoyed it a lot, but I ended up turning it out to somebody that didn't mind speeding at 20 over all the time. You know, with this bike, I find myself speeding a little bit, but really in its power band, it's perfect. You know, this is a 95 horsepower. I think it's got like 65 or 66 foot-pounds of torque. We were cruising down the road at 60. Right now I'm at 6, so it's kind of just sipping gas. Normally I'd probably be down in like 5th. I'm cruising around the road at 60 and I just goose it. You know, she goes pretty hard. And it's fun. Definitely has some push into the corners, pull right out of them, so pretty happy with the decision to get rid of the Ducati, spin it out. I rode the Harley for another year after that, doing the cruiser thing. Got lots of cruiser gear. You know, Harley guys are all about the gear. Leather jackets, do-rags, lots of t-shirts. Heard they sell a lot of bikes for a t-shirt company. But I had a great time on that bike. I did some adventuring, touring around Michigan on it. I toured with my father-in-law all around the thumb, the outer loop, including the tunnel of trees. I also did the triple nickel in Ohio on the Harley. The people that say that, you know, a Harley can't go and hit the twisties, man, they definitely can. You just gotta know your own limitations and ride within them. And they can be a blast to do that stuff on too. So yeah, the Harley went out last week, because last month I picked up this bike, the Triumph Tiger 900. And I've been pleasantly happy. You know, I'm way more happy than I thought I would be when I left the dealership with it. You know, I assumed it would be a good bike, but the things that I didn't know would be awesome about it. Actually, a lot of the features that I normally wouldn't pay for in a motorcycle turned out to be the things that I like the best about this bike. I love this electronically adjustable suspension. If I put it in sport mode, it's in road mode right now, which is plenty plush, comfortable. If I drop it down into sport mode, the rebound adjustments change, the preload changes, and it's like you're riding a sport bike. You lean forward into the dash, and you get your weight on that front wheel, and you can just rocket it around those corners. It's like a slingshot. And it's a blast for doing that stuff on. At the same time, what surprised me is It's not got quite the sound that the Ducati had when you're rolling around, like when you're romping, fifth gear. It's got a nice little ooze to it, which is pretty cool. And then on top, when you're cranking it through the revs, it's silky smooth, like you'd expect from a triple. And that's just awesome. I love that silky smoothness up top. I need to get a mic so I can run a raw of the exhaust sound to hear how it sounds when it sings like the old triples do. Once it hits like that 6,000 RPM mark. Sweet. I wave to everybody. I don't care. Bikers, Polaris, slingshots, whatever. If you're out here having a good time, tricycles, I'll wave to you. Have a good day, man. Get out there and get it done. So I think the electronic suspension on this has been awesome. Super compliant, super plush ride when it's in soft mode like it is right now. You can go through your menu, like I'm about to go right here. Like right now I have some luggage on the back. I can drop my preload to be rider and luggage. And I can drop my damping down a little bit just to get a little plusher ride. That's it, no futzing with weirdo spanner wrenches, no getting off the bike and cranking on levers or whatever. It's just ready to go. So that's been really awesome. The other thing that I've been like, I don't know after having this, but I really want a bike without it, is the quick shifter. This quick shifter is so cool. You never miss a downshift. It auto flips for you. The upshift feature is kind of useless to me. I mean, I like to goose it and then close the throttle and quick shift anyway. But when you're coming into a corner, you're like, drop that downshift. That quick shifter is just sweet. So yeah, that's a feature that I've been totally happy with. What can I say that I don't like about this bike? Well, I can tell you what I don't like is the TFT display in terms of its connection to my phone. It's awful. I have like a new iPhone 11. It should connect very easily. I have trouble pairing it every single time. So something's going on there on the Triumph side. They need to do some kind of update or change something in terms of Bluetooth connectivity. It's got to be using 5.0. I mean, this is 2021 for gosh sakes. And it just never seems to connect to my phone. Their Triumph app for planning your route and having the directions show up on the TFT display is totally janky. I don't even use it. You can see I have my phone here because I'm going to have to pull up my map after I get too far on this route to see where I'm going. And there's no way to take like a third-party software like Google and make it show up on your TFT display. You have to use the Triumph app, and the app has to be connected to the TFT display, which takes like forever. You sit on your bike looking like an idiot for like 2 minutes with your helmet on, going, why is this Bluetooth not connected still? And then you just say screw it, and you put your phone on a phone mount and use Google Maps because it just doesn't work very well. And that's definitely something Triumph's going to have to address, I think, because with things out there, support coming from BMW, the BMW 850 GSA, people are going to go to bikes like that because stuff from BMW just works. So Triumph, get your stuff together. I don't want to see people leave this bike, which is an awesome bike, because they have connectivity issues or other problems. And then as far as problems go, this thing is at zero in terms of the actual bike. The one thing that did happen to me is the bolt backed out on the windscreen. So this windscreen here is kind of cool. You can just grab it, push it out, pull it up, adjust it how you see fit, because the bolts have little springs and collars on them. road looks a little rough. Looks like I'm going to have to get some gas before we get on the highway. Yeah, I don't like it up too high. Because I'm a short guy, and I like the wind in my face. So yeah, speaking of that, let's talk about that. This is an adventure bike. Lots of people have issues with the height of adventure bikes. I have a 32-inch inseam. This is the GT Pro. I have the seat in the low setting, but in reality later today I might end up changing it to the normal setting because I like to have a little more legroom. And I'll be clicking a lot of highway miles today. You know, I have no problem at stoplights. I can put both feet on the ground. I wouldn't call it a flat foot, but it's like a midfoot. Most of the foot is on the ground on both sides. And I've gotten pretty used to just tipping the bike to one side anyway, which is the right way to do it. Bigger, taller bikes, you know, that's the way you need to get it done. So really, seat height hasn't been a problem. The other thing worth talking about is why would somebody like me that maybe wants to, in Missouri, tons of dirt, back roads, maybe some trails, why would you get the GT Pro instead of going with the Rally Pro? One was availability. The dealership did not have a Rally Pro in stock, so it would have been at least 6 weeks of waiting. Thanks to COVID, you never know, 6 weeks can turn into 6 years. It seems availability is always in question for whatever you're buying anymore. This guy gonna let me through. This guy is through, but there's a Jeep coming, man. I ain't getting smashed. You know, like getting smashed. You tried. Thanks. Yeah, so I think that this is the right choice for me. I commute every day on this bike. I really love getting it in the twisties. You know, pushing the bars down, leaning over hard. And I think with that 21-inch front wheel on the Rally Pro, it would have taken more away from my normal riding to do some things that, you know, in reality, I don't really do that often. 80 to 90% of the time, it's like I have it on the road. I hit trails once in a great while. So I would rather have everything I need to have a really good time on the road. There we go. Than have, you know, any compromise there just for a little bit of off-road ability. This thing does plenty good off-road. I've taken it down all kinds of dirt roads, a little bit of two-track. Definitely can kick the back end out, pull the throttle, turn her loose sideways. Comes with 90-10 tires. They're Metzler Tourance tires. And they do fine in dirt road and trail. You know, I wouldn't take them in sand or mud, but for the most part, the bike does exactly what I want it to do, and I've been pretty happy with it. So that's it for me today. I'm going to go peace out on this one.